Good morning, Mr. City. My name's Adam Yu, the coach of your Mr. City Muse, and welcome to WPF Delta. WPF is known as one of the largest Pokemon Draft League servers, boasting many divisions that host different formats such as National Dex, Paldea Dex, Low Tier, and even GPL with the custom megas. I got selected to play in WPF's Delta division, an upload required Gen 9 Wi-Fi league, so yeah, I'm super excited. I know I'm going to begin to script these videos, but words genuinely can't describe how happy I am to be a part of this week finally. With all this being said, I want to jump into the planning and the actual team I drafted. The draft began and I essentially had first pick as the actual first pick picked Iron Bundle, something that was telegraphed in advance. So, I had free reign over the board. Two Pokemon immediately jumped out at me, these being Dragapult and Spectrier. Dragapult is known as one of the best Pokemon legal in draft, often seen as being made for draft due to how much versatility it has in these sets. While the temptation was real to go Dragapult, I went the latter option with Spectrier. Yes, I round 1 picked Spectrier over Dragapult. I was mainly inspired by my friend Ryan and Ditto, who helps me out with a lot of drafting and team building to draft this. While not having the same versatility as Dragapult, Spectrier forces teams to bring things like normal types to not automatically lose to it in its Grim A ability. This force prep, along with needing to not take a misstep in the actual game, enticed me to draft Spectrier so early. For moves, Spectrier gets Shadow Ball and Hex for notable stabs, with Draining Kiss, Dark Pulse, and Psychic for coverage. It has many solid options for status moves, being able to use Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, Nasty Plot, Calm Mind, and Substitute, among other moves, to help break normal types or sweep teams. In terms of team support, Spectrier generally appreciates having a fighting type to deal with the dark and normal types that it somewhat struggles to deal with. While the Urshifus are a tempting option to draft with Spectrier, which is something I've used in the past, most notably in a league called the LBC, I used Spectrier with Urshifu single. These Pokemon generally can't take the hits necessary to be a solid support option for Spectrier. So, I wanted something bulkier, and I decided to draft Iron Hands with pick 2. If you want a bulky, hard-hitting fighting type to pair up with Spectrier, it does not get much better than this. Iron Hands boasts high bulk, being able to switch in on whatever hits dark and normal types want to throw at Spectrier, and being able to punish their switch out with setup or just firing off a hard hit off of its base 140 attack stat. At least I think it is. Furthermore, this can function as a slow pivot with Volt Switch for the rest of the team. Moves wise, I mentioned Volt Switch, but there's so much more to discuss. Thunder Punch, Supercell Slam, Close Combat, and Dream Punch headline Iron Hands' stab moves, with great coverage in Ice Punch, Earthquake, Heavy Slam, Fire Punch, and Play Rough. For setup, it mainly gets Swords Dance, but Belly Drum and Iron Defense are more niche options that could see use in later weeks. With a main duo the team fleshed out, I wanted to turn my focus to support options, most notably getting a solid ground type since these are a limited resource in Paldea Dex, especially since I had Ting Wu snipe the literal pick before me. Thank you both for that, snipe. I also need to draft a solid poison type, solid removal, and a knockoff user or two to really solidify the team support. But for now, I secured the ground type. Making its return from my ICPL championship team, we got Landorus Therian. While falling in the shadow of Great Tusk and Ting Wu to an extent, in Paldea Dex draft, Landorus Therian is still one of the more solid ground types available. Despite losing moves like Defog, Toxic, and Knockoff, Landorus retaining Stealth Rock, Taunt, and U-Turn is seemingly all it needs to do well. Many memes have been made about Lando T's moves, often running Stealth Rock, U-Turn, some Ground Stab, and some other filler move, but that's generally what people would expect it to do in Paldea Dex. However, Lando has more options than this, being able to run Earthquake and Earth Power for either physically or especially offensive sets, Swords Dance, Calm Mind, Bulk Up, and Nasty Plot for setup, and covers such as Stone Edge, Rock Slide, Crunch, Outrage, Brick Break, Sludge Wave and Sludge Bomb, Psychic, Focus Blast, and Grass Knot. Although it's a reliable Stealth Rock user, I really want more hazard support, and I figure I might as well cross off more boxes for the team in the process with my next pick. So, I decided to get Glimmora for the first time. To quote Wagon Fruit or Doki the Uncut's video on Spectre, Spectre gets a lot out of its item slot and does not want to be forced to remove it. So good removal and a bringable poison type is highly important. Then they cite that Glamora is a solid pair with Spectre. Inspired by this, I took Glamora. Glamora's fit with Spectre is undeniable, being able to set toxic spikes with its ability to facilitate Spectre Hex, while having Mortal Spin to poison and remove hazards, and also having Memento to enable Spectre or Iron Hands to break or sweep easier. For moves, Glamora gets Rocks, Spikes, and Toxic Spikes for hazard setting, Mortal Spin for hazard removing, and great stab moves such as Power Gem, Meteor Beam, and Sludge Wave and Sludge Bomb. Glamora also gets solid coverage such as Earth Power, Dazzling Gleam, Energy Ball, and Flash Cannon. Glamora closes out the main core of the team and essentially marks the beginning of me drafting kinda weird due to the nature of 16 coach called the EDX draft. Knockoff access is still a major need for my team, but I wanted to focus on bridging the speed gap between Spectre and Wanderous first, as speed options were beginning to go quickly. So, making its debut on my team is Latias, a Pokemon I've never seriously considered, but since Latios and the Ogre Pawns were taken, I had to settle for this. The main role Latias offers is as a secondary special attacker to Spectre, and a speed gap filler between Spectre and Wando T. Despite this not-so-flowery role, Latias gets a ton of interesting moves to play around with. Dragon Pulse, Draco Meteor, Mist Ball, Psychic, Psychic Noise, and Psyshock highlighted stab moves, and it gets coverage just as extensive. Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Draining Kiss, Surf, Aura Sphere, and so many other moves. And it gets Calm Mind and Agility and Dragon Dance to set up, and Healing Wish, Thunder Wave, and Trick to support. This thing is a very, very versatile Pokemon that I'm excited to use, and I think it can do solid on this team. With the speed gap filled, I focused my attention on getting a solid Steel type, and I landed on Heatran. I made this my second Terra Captain because Heatran as a Terra Captain feels pretty solid, being able to remove its 4x ground weakness, and yeah. This is another returning Pokemon from my ICPL Championship team, and while my GOAT has fallen off in recent gens, especially in this gen, Heatran has still brought success. So yeah, I really am hyped to use this again, because Heatran was one Pokemon that I wanted to use before in ICPL. Finally got to use it, and now I have another excuse to use it again. This pick was initially supposed to be something like Klefki, but Klefki got sniped. I wanted Tinkaton, but Tinkaton got taken early. I just got sniped so hard in the latter half of this draft, and the options I had to settle with were probably not ideal. So, in terms of moves, Heatran gets Stealth Rock and Taunt. As you will probably know, it's the one thing it kept. It lost Roar in Gen 9 sadly, so Taunt remains its only way of stopping setup, or just any status moves. Well, stopping setup. So, yeah. Magma Storm, Flamethrower, and Lava Plume are some of its more useful Fire-type moves. It gets Flash Cannon and Heavy Slam for Steel moves, and it gets solid coverage with Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse, and Earth Power. And also, well, Power Gem. So, yeah. Those are its moves, and with these solid additions to the team, I wanted to finally address Knockoff, which is why I am making Low-Kix's debut on my teams. I've been wanting to draft Low-Kix for a bit, and I felt this was a perfect time because all the dark types were getting drafted, and Low-Kix was the only solid one left besides like Grimmsnarl. So, yeah. I mentioned Knockoff is the reason for drafting Low-Kix, but it also gets Sucker Punch and First Impression for solid priority moves, and that's something my team really needs. It doesn't have a lot of good priority. I think the only priority I had was like Fake Out Iron Hands. So having Low-Kix for priority is very, very solid. And Tinted Winds boosts its resisted Dark and Bug Stabs, but it also gets generally like fighting coverage, like Axe Kick and Brick Break, if it needs it. I really wanted to make this a Terra Captain, but I didn't have the Terra budget, so yeah, that's unfortunate. So yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about the closing 4 picks because these were just kind of made in a flurry, and it's just kind of not good. Like, I think the top 7 are probably coming to most games, but yeah. The last 4 offer some support, but it could have been so much better, but I got sniped so hard in the back half of this draft. Like, I got sniped really, really bad. So, yeah. I guess it's time to jump in to the lightning round. First up, we have Araquanid. So this pick adds a solid water type to the team. I initially had Milotic as my water type, but my front office almost universally agreed that thing was trash, and we decided to pick up Araquanid, sniping someone in the process. Araquanid gives another solid physically offensive presence that people will need to prep for, because water bubble boosted liquidations hurt, and also sticky webs hurt as well. So that's pretty much what Araquanid brings to the team. Next up, we have Granbull. Granbull making its return from my MBBL team pre-transactions and my PMPL team. So this was the only solid fairy type left after I had Whimsicott sniped from me. You can see why I really wanted Whimsicott, Prankster Encore, but yeah. Granbull gets Encore, very physically bulky presence, and gets Super Fang and Thunder Wave for more support. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Next up, we have Abomasnow. Abomasnow was one of the only alright grass types that were left. This thing gets Aurora Veil to support the team. And yeah, it gives me Ashard priority if it comes to that. But mainly Aurora Veil can support Spectrier, Iron Hands, and Latias for sweeping potential. And finally, I drafted the 1-point Regigigas. Regigigas pretty much just gives me knockoff Thunderwave and a normal type. And yeah. That is the team. It kind of fell apart at the end. I really, really wanted to get Whimsicott, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't. Because 16 coach Paldeadex draft is very, very difficult to plan around. You have to make uncomfortable moves, and you're just not going to get everything you want. And yeah. But yeah, this will conclude the team. Like I said, I think this started out very, very coherent, but it fell apart quickly, and I don't think there's anything I can do about it unless some people drop something. So, yeah. With that being said, I want to give a special shout out to my front office, Ryan, Beal, Coconut, Shaz, and Pinky for their help with this draft, and for all the prep help that they will give me over the course of this season. But that's going to be it for me. I will catch you all in week 1. Peace.